Are you someone that currently lives in the Seattle area, or maybe you're somebody that's looking to move over here and you're trying to figure out if you should buy a new construction home or go with a resale home? If that sounds like you, this video will be for you. I'm gonna dive into the differences between new construction and resale, the pros and cons of each one, to help you figure out which one you might wanna focus on. As always, I'm Bryce Greenleaf, local real estate broker here in the greater Seattle area. Love helping you guys out, those of you that reach out to me here from YouTube when you're looking to buy a home in the Seattle area. If that sounds like you, feel free to reach out, I'd be happy to help. But let's jump right into this topic of resale homes versus new construction. This is a very common question that I get asked when buyers are starting on their home buying journey and they're trying to figure out what the best option might be for them. Now, I have 6 categories that I'm gonna go over here to dissect both options and give you the pros and cons for each of these categories. Now, just to start, here in the Seattle metropolitan area, so you have a glimpse, an overview of the amount of homes that are available in each category. When I talk about Seattle metropolitan, I'm talking about the 3 counties, King, Snohomish, and Pierce County. In those 3 counties currently, for resale homes, and when I talk about resale homes, this is for homes built in 2023 or older, all the way down to the late 1800s. For resale homes, there are 4,575 homes currently on the market. Now, when we compare that to new construction homes, for new construction, there are 1,447 homes currently on the market. So you can see here, there's more than 3 times the amount of inventory for resale homes than there are for new homes. Now, category 1 I'm gonna talk about here is the price. So if we just look at the price differences between the 2 options, you'll see new construction homes, of course, are priced higher on average. Here in Seattle metropolitan, the average resale home, currently the median price is $725,000. For new construction homes, the median price is $1,025,000. Now, of course, when you look at average numbers, those resale homes are always gonna be cheaper than new construction because that's gonna factor in a lot of older homes, fixers, homes that really need quite a bit of work. But when you take comparable homes in one certain city with comparable square footage, and one was maybe built in 1990 or 1980 and another one is brand new construction, you are still typically gonna have a bit of savings on that older home. Now, the second thing that I wanna talk about here as it relates specifically to the Seattle metropolitan area is location. So I've had, again, a lot of buyers that relocate over here and they're trying to figure out if they should go resale or if they should go new construction. One problem that a lot of people around here run into is not having the number of new construction options available close in an area that they need to be. A big reason for that is because here in the Seattle metropolitan area, we do not have a ton of land available for massive sprawling new developments. You see this in other southern states, maybe in a Texas or a Florida or many other areas where they are consistently building these sprawling master plan communities. And that's really not the case over here, especially when you get more central, when you get closer to Seattle or Bellevue. There are gonna be very few new development communities that are gonna be an option for you. A lot of the new construction in the middle of King County is gonna be a lot of townhomes that are in Seattle proper, and you're gonna have a lot of one-off, more custom luxury builds that you're gonna find throughout King County that are gonna be at a much higher price point. But when you're talking about new construction homes that are at a bit more of a median price point for that area, there are very few options when you get to the central part of Seattle metropolitan. So the con here is if you are somebody that has a job in Seattle or Bellevue that you need to commute to on a regular basis, and you want a new construction home, a single family detached home at a $800,000 to $1.5 million price point that is commutable to jobs there in Seattle or Bellevue, you're gonna have much fewer options than you would with resale homes. And so that's usually a big point to people where they have to make that sacrifice and say, okay, I want a new construction, but I really can't get anything within the budget that is commutable to my job, so I need to open it up to resale homes, and that can certainly provide much more opportunity. Now, on the flip side to that, if you're somebody that's not location dependent and you work remote, or maybe you work further on the north side or further on the south side, or you're retired, New construction can definitely be a good opportunity for you, because when you get to those outskirts, those outlying suburbs and cities on the ends of Seattle metropolitan, there will be quite a few more options. Point number 3 is the lot sizes that you're gonna have with these homes, and this often ends up being a very big factor for people as well. On average, new construction homes are gonna have much smaller lot sizes than resale homes. A lot of these new construction communities, especially when you're going to these larger communities, if you're getting farther north and farther south, but especially if you find these smaller one-off communities of like 10 to 20 homes closer to the middle of Seattle Metro, they're gonna have much smaller lot sizes. And I'm talking like anywhere from 3,000 to 6,000 square foot lots. A lot of these homes will just have a little strip of grass for a backyard and not a ton of usable space. Versus if you look at a resale home that was built maybe in the 80s or the 90s, and it's still in a neighborhood, it's still at the end of a cul-de-sac and a little tighter knit neighborhood, on average, those lot sizes are gonna be a bit bigger. They can range really anywhere from 8,000 to 15,000 square feet for an average size lot in a neighborhood. Now, of course, there's other homes you can get outside of your typical tract home neighborhood, and you can get, plenty of acreage properties as well. But just for the standard home, those resale home lot sizes are going to be very often 2 or 3 times the size of a lot of this new construction. And so that makes a big impact for people that are really prioritizing that lot size, that want space for the kids outside, that want space for the dogs, that maybe want a garden, all of that kind of stuff. Now, there are some exceptions with new construction homes. Again, you have to get much further on the north side or much further south where you could get some larger lot sizes. Those communities are much fewer and further in between, so there's not a lot of availability for that. So in general, if you find a resale home, you are gonna have typically a much larger lot size. Point number 4 is overall construction quality, warranties, peace of mind. So when you're buying a new construction home, a lot of people like to focus on this route, and they specifically tell me because they don't want to have to go into a home with any projects. And that's certainly a pro of going with new construction. You go into a home that's brand new, the furnace, roof, water heater, AC, everything is brand new, so you don't necessarily have to worry about putting more money into that home in the immediate future. You also have warranties when you go with new construction that can help cover you for things that come up. Most builders have a 12-month workmanship warranty that covers cosmetic defects if there's, things that happen when the home settles over time, which is completely normal. They'll also have structural warranties that cover you for multiple years if things do arise. And so a lot of buyers want that peace of mind going in, and I completely understand. One thing you'll also need to be aware of if you go the new construction route is there's some builders that are a lot better than others. And there's certainly a number of builders in this area that are not great quality construction, and you will very consistently, even with a new home, can very consistently have issues with that home. So if that sounds like you and you're somebody that's trying to focus on new construction, but you want to figure out what the best builders are, definitely feel free to reach out to me. I love helping people navigate that process and finding the right builder that would work for them and eliminating some of the builders that might have poor construction quality. On the flip side to that, resale homes, of course, when you get into maybe an 80s or 90s built home, or maybe a early 1900s home, you're gonna have more risk with things that you're gonna have to repair and update and upgrade as you live in that home. So there's always that chance of having to put more money into that home. So it's definitely something to consider. Now, one thing that's important when you're buying a resale home is getting a home inspection, which will give you a good idea of maybe some things that will be coming up soon that will need to be repaired or replaced. The inspector can tell you the age of the furnace or give you an idea of how much life is left on your roof or your water heater or some of your appliances. So it's definitely important to get a home inspection on a resale home that can really help you figure out some of those things. But that is one thing with the resale home that you might have to be prepared for. Point number 5 here is the overall market competition. And in a market specifically like this, I'm filming this in March here, and as we get into the busy spring season, there's certainly a lot of bidding wars taking place on homes here in the Seattle metropolitan area. And typically those resale homes are gonna get way more competition than new construction will. Not to say some new construction can't get multiple offers, but typically all of the resale homes are quite a bit busier and get quite a bit more attention. So you as a buyer going into a resale home in a hot area may have to be prepared to compete with other buyers and be able to put forward a quite aggressive offer in order to get that home. The flip side to that is if you go the new construction route, you're often not going to have to deal with quite as much competition, especially with a builder that has a larger community with quite a few homes and they launch that community. There's likely going to be quite a few options for you that you may not have to compete on. Now, there's of course some exceptions to this, and there's certainly instances where a new construction home will get a lot of attention, but on average, it's a bit easier to get into a new construction home without those bidding wars and all of that competition that you might see on a resale home. Of course, this is also super location dependent. If you're in one of the hot areas closer to the middle of Seattle metropolitan, you're going to deal with a lot of those bidding wars. As you get further to the outskirts and further north and further south, those bidding wars will start to slow down. All right, the last point here that we're going to talk about is the timeline. So there's a few different things to consider here. Let's start with talking about resale homes. Resale homes are very straightforward. When you put an offer in on a resale home and your offer gets accepted, if you're getting a mortgage, you're getting financing for that home, the closing time frame is going to be typically about 30 days. Now that can be negotiated if the buyer needs longer or the seller needs longer to move out. But most homes that we do with resale timelines, it's going to be a 30-day closing period. So you're in that home getting the keys pretty quickly. When you look at a new construction home, there's multiple different options that you can do. You can buy what they call a move-in ready home where the construction has already been completed, and that time frame is also going to be around 30 days. However, a lot of the new construction that you're going to look at is going to be pre-sale opportunities. And what pre-sale means is you go in and you're going to that community, you're finding the lot that you want the home on, the floor plan that you want, and you're going under contract on a pre-sale home before it's even started construction. So the timeline for these types of homes could be anywhere from 5 months to a year, depending on that permitting process. So for those that need to be into a home relatively quickly within a month or two, a lot of the new construction options will not be an option for you because they can easily be, again, anywhere from 5 to 12 months out from completion and you actually being able to close on that sale and move into your new home. So it's definitely something you're gonna need to consider if you're focused on new construction, is looking for the opportunities that will have immediate move-in options. And again, if that sounds like something you're looking for, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to guide you down that route and find those kinds of options for you. But overall, just to summarize here, you're gonna have a lot more options if you go the resale route, a lot more inventory on the market for that, especially if you need to be central in the Seattle metropolitan area, if you're commuting to and from a job. Again, those homes will often have more competition though, and that's something that you'll need to be prepared for. On the flip side, if you're looking for new construction, you're gonna have a lot more options as you get way further south or way further north in the Seattle metropolitan area where you're not as commutable to those jobs. There are of course some exceptions that are more central and commutable, but they're fewer and farther in between. But if you're somebody that's looking to buy a home in the Seattle area and you're trying to figure out what the best option and the best route might be for you, as always, I'm happy to help. Feel free to reach out to me at my info below. Would be more than happy to jump on a call with you and figure out what the best plan might be for you to get into your next home. Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you on the next.